Our business is built on retaining customers. And so having a lease that is as easy as possible to transition from car to car to car is what we needed. Our business is built on.
Welcome into another edition of Inside the Lease. I'm Brian alongside Kelly and Chase. We're talking D&M auto leasing, obviously, here, and the advantages of leasing. And we have talked about over the years, the current global market and strategy and whether or not leasing is a good thing. And I think overwhelmingly we've determined that it is. I mean, it works for virtually every situation. But you guys keep mentioning the easy lease.
Yep.
And I thought maybe we should spend some time on that because it's a differentiator. I mean, the easy lease is different than what you see in the marketplace out there a lot of times. And it is, when we talk about making leases customized, the easy lease is really D&M's way of doing that, right?
Yep.
Give me some sense as to how that came about and why the easy lease is important.
So I'm going on my 18th year, and I'm sure you can look at Kelly and tell that he's a little older than I am. He's been here much longer than me, so we can tag team this idea. But I go back to when I started. When I started, came here out of college, and I can remember working deals and learning the ropes. And Kelly was my direct manager, and so I'd take deals to him and talk to him. And back right after the Great Recession, there were customers calling in who were in some of these big national leasing programs, and I remember I'd go to him and he'd want me to get these payoffs because he'd say that there's different payoffs, and I didn't really understand what. I'd go to him and I'd say, so if the customer trades it, it's this amount, but there's a penalty that they mark up if it's this amount. And I just remember thinking back then, like, what? What do you mean? Like, why are there all these different, if they trade it here, they go there, they do this, you can't do that. And I did, my perspective is much different now, but back then I just didn't understand what penalties in a lease or marking a payoff up, all that kind of stuff. And so back then, 2010, I think 2010 is that whenever we first came out with the easy lease. Mm-hmm. So before my time, there was a lot of different big national banks. So we'd seen banks come and go, and we picked the best parts of all of those different leases, and we created our easy lease. And our business is built on retaining customers. So it isn't just about one deal. To us, we want volume. We want 10 deals from a household and from a family. And so having a lease that is as easy as possible to transition from car to car to car is what we needed. And back then, I guess kind of along the same time that I was starting, I think that we were learning as a company. And I don't really know all the background to it, what happened before, but I know that it was funky trying to figure out and help customers navigate that. And so there's a lot of points for easy lease. Maybe you can elaborate a little bit more from your perspective, because the easy lease, I mean, it is a major differentiator, and it is what allows us to do what we do.
It is, and we're super proud of it. The easy lease is the most consumer-friendly lease on the market. And what Chase is talking about, coming out of the Great Recession, there were a lot of, and there still are, national banks and funders that offer leases. And back then, the market swayed. So during the recession, vehicles dropped significantly, and then they started coming up. And as vehicle values started to come up, some of these banks found a legal precedent in their contracts where they could charge customers more for their own car, like when they tried to trade at a local dealership. And, tactics like that, or fees to break a lease, like it was an apartment lease or something, it just was not consistent with the type of customer service that we wanted to offer. And honestly, we didn't want somebody in up east providing customer service to one of our customers in North Texas. We felt like we were in the best position to provide service to that person. And we were growing our business significantly during those years, and we got big enough to where we could pool together and formulate our own lease, which we do market as the easy lease. And like I said, we took at the time, 30, 35 years worth of experience, and took everything out of leasing that people didn't like. Like if you need to trade your vehicle in the middle of a lease, I'm going to guess nobody likes a penalty onto your like it's an apartment, like you're breaking it.
Right.
No one likes that. Or early termination penalty. Nobody likes that. So we don't have them. Nobody likes nobody likes to get to the end of your lease and know you have some equity and figure out that some bank is trying to make 5 or 10 grand on you. We had back then, we always referenced the one Escalade that got marked up significantly.
Yeah.
And so we just don't do that. And so if you pay your lease down to 30,000 with us, it's 30,000.
Yeah.
It's not 40,000. If someone wants to get a payoff and leave our company, we don't want them to, but they get a simple interest payoff that they can easily pay off, and just like anywhere else.
I want to explain that because I don't know that people understand exactly what that means. So you're paying your vehicle down to a residual value. So that's a guaranteed future value at the end of your deal. That's why your payment is lower. So let's just say for simple math, a $50,000 car, and the residual value is 25. You do a 3-year lease, residual's 25. You pay it from 50 to 25. That's why your payment is lower than a 3-year loan. A 3-year loan, you pay it to 0. Then you go around try to get your 25 grand back. So banks, in some instances, even today, you get to the end and you paid it down to 25. So you pay principal and interest just like you would in a loan. Same thing. You get to the end, 25,000 is what you paid it down to, and it's worth 30. Some banks will make your payoff 30 if you go try to trade your car in at a dealership somewhere else.
But that's your 5.
Well, depends on what kind of lease you're in.
At D&M, it's your 5. So they found a legal, and it goes on today in our market all the time.
Yeah.
People just don't realize it. And so they found a legal precedent in the market to where when you're leasing, the vehicle's titled in the leasing company's name. So they're quote unquote the owner. And so if you leased from somebody else, and then in Chase's example, and then you in 3 years you want to go trade it, you're thinking you're trading it against your contractual payoff.
Right.
But because the funder is the owner, if that vehicle's worth more, they're going to charge you through the dealership when you make the payoff more. And that isn't something that happened once upon a time. It happens all the time. And so we saw that, many years ago when we started the Easy Lease, we saw things like that. We saw fees and penalties and people not feeling good at the end of the lease. And we wanted to control that. And so that was why we developed the Easy Lease.
And that doesn't mean people can just drop the keys up at the front desk.
No, I know what you're saying.
Yeah. Just like a regular loan. You went in the middle. I mean, what's your car worth? What's your payoff? But there's no penalties that are added to it. The fact that it's simple interest. So if you do get out of it early, they're not going to add all of your unpaid interest to your payoff. And then the fact that they're all titled in our name. So in the state of Texas, this is a huge retention benefit. We can do all makes and models. So if you go get a vehicle from Joe Blow manufacturer and you lease a car from them, it's going to be titled in their name.
Right.
Then you want to go to Jane Blow dealership, a different brand. Well, the new one's going to be titled in their name. And in the state of Texas, if ownership is the same, it's like a tax shield.
Yep.
So if you had a $50,000 car and a $20,000 trade-in, you would only pay tax on the difference, 6.25%.
So you don't double dip.
So you don't double dip. So every single deal that D&M does, regardless of what brand, is titled in our name. We can do any make or model. So every customer can come back and they can get any brand they want. The new one is also titled in our name. And so whenever the title work is the same, you don't pay sales tax on the full amount. You only pay on the difference. And so that typically saves customers a couple grand. And over a lifetime, that adds up to a lot of money. So you've got that.
And can I talk about that for a sec, Chase? So every customer that comes to D&M, they have a built-in tax credit at the end.
Right.
So it's a built-in roughly
couple grand,
$1,000 of savings on average every single time. And even if you stay with the same manufacturer, they own the tax credit. See, at D&M, we own the tax credit. We give it to the customer every time. They don't do that every time.
Yeah.
So just if you kept it at the same, if you went to Jane Doe manufacturer, Jane may keep the tax credit for somebody else in some marketing efforts.
A lot of times they save it for the cars that aren't moving to try to move those
That's
to
right.
make it more.
Whereas that's
Makes
just
sense.
we're just about customer service. So
Why wouldn't everybody lease a car through D&M then, with the Easy Lease? Why wouldn't every person listening to this, why wouldn't they lease from D&M Lease?
Well, we've talked about that. I mean, I think 70 to 80% of people should lease.
Myths,
Really, the only customer that shouldn't lease, where it really doesn't make sense, if you're going to keep a car for 10 years,
Right.
and you've got enough money to pay cash for, an $80,000 SUV, and you're going to keep it for 10 years, that's cheaper than buying, and that it's cheaper. That's
Total
less
cost of
dollars, and total cost of ownership is lower doing that than buying, and that there's financing and leasing.
Yep.
That's better.
That's the only time, though.
That's better.
Yeah.
There's no absolutes, but for the most part, a lease is going to make a lot of sense, especially in today's environment.
So when you release the Easy Lease the first time, when it starts to come out, I'm curious, what did the marketplace think of it? Not the consumer.
Well, I don't think the consumer realizes some of the penalties.
I really don't know. A lot of that's hidden in
that are built into the lease. It's just built into the payoff. And I went and traded it in, and that's what my payoff was. But what comprised that payoff? I don't know that everybody is
What did
fully
the
aware.
competition think, though, is what I'm saying? Did they?
Well, we have
A lot of-
50,000. We have 50,000. I think they thought it was pretty good because we have 50,000.
Our competition is what I think what you're asking, and I'm
they
saying
see that, they have to go, wait a minute now.
Well-
That's a game changer.
there is a lot of turnover in our industry, and the quality of person that we have on our team is much higher. I think that the overwhelming majority of places, they don't even understand how a lease works, what happens at the end. I mean, the person they're talking to about the deal isn't the person they signed the contract with, who also isn't going to be the person who they're talking to when it's time to get out. That's not the case. With us, it's the same person.
Sure.
Originally talked to, set up the deal, sign the contract, and then have to follow up and answer for that. So I don't think that the market had any, even to this day, I don't really think that
I
people
agree.
at a high enough level understand or know.
But our customers, we don't bore them. I mean, we're trying to make it super easy.
Right.
But we do want to educate them.
Yeah.
I mean, so with us, we do any questions they have, our people are trained to answer them.
Yeah.
Because it is, I mean, it's a differentiator. We said that at the beginning.
The people.
Easy Lease and the people.
Yeah.
Yep.
And the process.
Yeah.
Because it's easy, the D&M Leasing. I don't know if you knew that.
Who also isn't going to be the
passionate. Yeah. Exactly.
Sure.
He's
Originally
Kelly, he's Chase. I'm Brian. Thanks for
talk
joining us.
to,
Inside
set
the
up the
Lease.
act, and then have to follow up and answer for that. So I don't think that the market had any, even to this day, I don't